All right, everybody. Pardon the car. I was at work this last night. I did a 12-hour shift, and I really should have made this video while I was at work because we have fairly quiet rooms and a neat space to do things in. And I may run out of time here, and I may not be able to do this at all because I'm got another thing going on. Anyway. No, yeah, I'm cool. So I'm in the teaching program at my school, and I was preparing like a little lesson for this one class that we all had to teach, whether by ourselves or with a group. A lot of the people in the class did as groups, but I was comfortable enough teaching this particular thing by myself, and I chose the topic BitTorrent and related peer-to-peer technologies, or peer-to-peer, I don't know, creations that people have made that allow us to do a lot of the stuff that we do in our modern world, as far as like data transfer and storage and sharing. So while I was preparing for that, I mean, going through Wikipedia and just on BitTorrent and stuff, what like how BitTorrent came about and what kind of sparked it. You know, it was kind of brought on by peer-to-peer like Napster and Grokster and Kazaa and Morpheus and some of those other things. But then it was really like BitTorrent. It became to be in its first iteration. I don't know if it ever really changed, or if it was the same from when it was first introduced in 2001, but it was just a distributed method of getting the file that's being shared delivered in a more efficient manner. And it's really cool like that because the uploader, the person that has the file that wants to share it, doesn't have to take the burden of sharing to everyone that ever wants it by themselves. They make a little file called the torrent file, and they share that, and the torrent file refers back to their machine that's sharing the thing, that this whatever this file is, and it just enables the other torrent clients to know where to go and how to get it, and what order to put the pieces of the torrent back in order, or back in the right order, so that it comes out right and you have the complete file. And along, like, as I went down the list of that Wikipedia article, I mean, I learned a lot. I learned probably not everything there is to know about BitTorrent. I'm sure there's something else, but I learned that things like other technologies and file distribution services use that today. Like Steam uses that. The game platform. When you buy a game on Steam, and I wondered, how am I able to get, which isn't a lot, like 3 megabits down is not very much, but how was I able to get 3 megabits down when probably I'm not the only one, especially when a game is brand new, and I buy it that day and I'm downloading it that day. There's no way that I could download at 3 megabits and that everybody else, they'd have to have like a massive upload on their end, on the server side. So it only made sense for them to be using some kind of a torrent, a modified torrent client for their distribution. At the same time that I'm downloading from them, possibly I'm downloading from everybody else's in the swarm, and we all get the data that much quicker. And so it makes sense. So I was thinking, if certain things use that, then how could we as a community like make this next step in file sharing? Because BitTorrent, in the way that it exists now, I'm sure it'll exist because it'll continue to exist even after some of the other things that go on with legality and intellectual property, which I think is ridiculous. All that stuff. I mean, people are silly to think that once you stick something on the internet in a world where things never go away, and if something is paid for, there's also something that's that same thing that's also not paid for. That I don't know. People just need to get it through their heads. Like, if you want to keep it, not if you want to make money off it, don't share it with anybody ever. Don't even sell it, because once it gets out there, it's gone. You've lost it, and that's just how it is. But I'm totally against that. I don't like copyright. I don't like any of that stuff. If I ever made something, I think the Creative Commons license, that just protects me. And I don't even care if you, I don't know. I'm not really one for like, hey, you got to mention my name and whatever I made or said. I don't care about that. If you want to use it, go ahead. If you don't, whatever. I don't care. I'm all just for sharing and contributing to the community that I've taken so much from and learned so much from. So I was thinking of this, and this is like the unveiling of this idea. The first time that I came up with something yesterday on the way to work, 13, 14 hours ago now, that I was like, that's what you could do with it. But it's like, so I was thinking, and I thought of this a while ago, but like I didn't know why or how it would work or why it would be fun or nice. But I was thinking, and you could call it like BitTorrent Drive. So the idea is, when you install this application, that I wouldn't be the one to write it, because I don't know how to write. I can't code. I don't know how to do this, but I just know how it should work, or at least like the framework for how it's supposed to work. So when you install it, you give a portion of your hard drive up to the BitTorrent Drive, this collective drive that's available to everybody. And say I've got huge hard drives like I do, terabytes and terabytes of space, and I give 30 gigs to the drive. I may not fill that up myself. It's probably mostly, for everybody. It just adds to that collective. But, you add as much as you can, because you want to help the community. You want to help the drive thrive. The drive needs to thrive. So I give 30 gigs. Everybody else gives 10, 20, whatever they can. If you can only afford to give one because you've got a tiny little laptop and it's hardly ever on, then give one. If you don't want to install any, then you don't really get to play. But I'm kind of basing this off of like my experience with Freenet, which is like, it's like an encrypted and secure browsing experience. You can browse websites that are free sites that people have made that put them on this thing, and they all have this. It's a 127.0.0.1. I think it's like an internal private network IP address, and so it's like you can't get to it unless you go through this other application, which would keep this BitTorrent Drive safe from any kind of like harassment or like because this way, so I'm thinking there would be no trackers. If somebody wants to make a torrent, they just put it in the drive, and it's available to everyone. And because you have this drive, it's like a virtual drive. It's a part of a real drive, but it's all these little pockets of drives all over the world. It's all one big drive. You put whatever you want. You search the database, and if you want to take something from it, you just grab it with whatever your client and copy it over to your computer. You take it, it's gone. It's out onto your machine. You have an actual copy. You want to add something, you just drop it back in. People can take it. You could use it to share files that are supposed to be secure. Just encrypt them first and put them in there. That's not really the point of this. Is to keep things from people. The point of this is to allow access to people. Access to files to people that you don't know, but you want to add back to the community. And like, there'd be traffic going to everyone, but there's no record of like, okay, you downloaded this, or at least like that's the idea, that they wouldn't leave a track of like, you downloaded this torrent, I saw the traffic, I grabbed the list of IPs from that swarm. Like, no, I mean, everybody's in the swarm. And you know, I mean, you could always just say, hey, I was downloading a Linux ISO. Whatever it was what you were doing, I mean, who cares? It's your business, not theirs. And I mean, this is the kind of thing that they would hate, and you know, the ISPs would be all over you and just be trying to block it every way, you know, disallowing traffic on those ports. But that's why you'd want it to be like a BitTorrent thing where that port kind of flops around. And then it's all these fun encryption and like security things like SSH. From what I understand, when I use SSH, my transfer, SFTP, which is it's like a secure file transfer protocol from my one machine to another machine, you can't see my login credentials and you can't see the traffic that it's going over. And I think this is how it works. Also, not only just because I've been told that that's how it works, but I think it works that way because when I transfer something over regular FTP from one machine to the other, it goes faster than when you do it over SFTP. SFTP is slower over your LAN network from one machine to another, but that tells me that it's encrypting it on the one end and decrypting it on the other end. So there's just time that it needs a little bit more, but it's secure. So like it's an impenetrable tunnel that nobody knows unless you have the key or your password or whatever it is. But this would make it, I mean, my BitTorrent drive, there is no login, you have no username, it's just you download the file, you install it on your machine, and when you do that, you add to the collective. Everybody has a little bit. Now that could be really confusing, and that may make it so that it fills up super quick, but the more people that add and leave machines on, the more space we have. And I don't know, I mean, I hope that we can get something going. With everything that I share, I would love to meet a community of people that would discuss this kind of stuff, and we could talk about it. I just don't know that community in person, so that's why I put it online. So if you've got something that you see a problem with my idea, let's talk about it. I'd love to hear some feedback. So that's me, and that's the idea I had, and I wanted to put it out there. So thanks for listening in and allowing me to share. Have a good day.